All right. So for restorative practice, and please let me know to if at any moment it doesn't work, I can always move to another place. Let's see if I can find the sheet a little bit. So if you haven't done so already, please get some props ready. I have 2 blocks, a blanket and a bolster, but it can be anything. It can also be 1 blanket, 2 blankets, ideally some kind of pillow shape thingy, bolstery thingy. Okay, let me see. I can see you. Right. And just to check that this is working. Yeah, external microphone. Okay, good. All right. Let's start seated. You can sit on a blanket or on a block or on a pillow. Good. And allow the sit bones to really ground into what you're sitting on. Bring the palms of the hands on the thighs, which in itself is a very grounding practice for fall. And observe right now in this moment what is most present or what's mostly pulling on your attention, your awareness. Is there a space in the body that feels like it's asking for something? Is it the mind that is in a different place? Is there an emotion that's mostly present? And bring the palms of the hands together and rub them together. If it's cold where you are, rub to the point of warmth, otherwise to the point of some energy between the hands. And then let your dominant hand stay up and your other hand comes just down onto your thigh. And I will guide you through this as best I can while you are doing it as well. So with your ring finger of your dominant hand, just place that ring finger in between the eyebrows on this point that is often referred to as the third eye point of consciousness, chakra, or Marma point. And hold it there until you feel the mind is really aware that you're touching that point. So the mind is in that point. You feel some kind of connection there, the finger to the skin. And then you can make little circles. And it's kind of like you're gently pressing and circling at the same time. So you're not rubbing that area, you're pressing in a little bit and then circling. It doesn't have to be an exact point between the eyebrows, just where you feel is the center of your eyebrows, where you feel is this kind of natural point of attraction where your finger wants to rest instead of a point that feels awkward or strange. And as you do this, you breathe long, gentle, deep breaths. And let the finger come to stillness, and then gently and slowly draw a line from that third eye point up to towards the hairline, right where your hairline begins. And then again, just point of touch, letting the touch of your finger be noticed by the mind until the mind is kind of on board with it. And then once you feel that connection, again, gentle pressing and then circling. If you want to do this any other time, so you have the recording for the next 2 months. If you want to do this again, you can also do this in the evening with oil, for example, putting some oil in your hand and then dipping your finger in it. This can be sesame oil or ghee. And then from there, holding the finger still, and then 4 fingers away from that point. So again, it's not exact math, but 4 fingers away from that point, you can measure it more or less. That's where now your ring finger comes. So it's not necessarily crown of the head, it's 4 fingers before it. And then again, point of touch first. You can make this very simple or make it more, even more nurturing, as if you have this lunar nectar flowing out from the ring finger into this point on your head. Once you feel there's a connection, you again gently press and then circle the skin. So you're not necessarily rubbing your hair, you're circling the skin of your skull. And find a pressure that is nice to you, that feels comfortable. Let the finger come to stillness, and then from the little finger on that point, measure again 4 fingers. So this is more or less the crown of the head. Again, it's not exact science, but a little bit where your skull changes. The crown of the head is if you would have a little shining light from that point. And then gently rest the finger there until you feel the switch of the mind observing and noticing that you're now holding your finger there. Once you've made contact, still with long deep breaths, you start to press gently and circle, massage. Now holding the little finger there to measure 4 fingers away from it. So really the back of your head. Place your ring finger on that point. Touch it. And then again, circle. Your hair might not super improve from this, but your nervous system will love it, I promise. And then the last one on the head, little finger where your ring finger was, 4 fingers. So it's really now the more or less the base, like the back of your head, the base of the skull, where your last vertebrae is. And then you can place the ring finger there. And again, finding, it's not an exact science, but finding a point where you're like, ah, yeah, that's actually a nice point of when I press, it feels maybe sensitive, but it feels nice. Once you feel the contact, start to circle gently or a little bit more vigorous. You decide what is needed right now, and you can explore. Let any natural urges happen. Any yawning, belching. It's all just signs the nervous system is moving into rest and digest. And now you take your piano fingers and place them, and trying to find the best light. Your piano fingers and place them from where the crown of, where the point in the middle of your head was to the sides, and dig your fingers in there. And again, you're pressing and then you're massaging a little bit, circling a little bit. And from there, once again, the ring finger, both of them, but I'll show you one, is coming right above the ear. Sorry, it's just switching focus. Probably very annoying for you. So right above the ear, underneath your hair, in between your hair and your ear, top of your ear. And then you press there. And circle. And it's also 4 finger widths apart, but you can probably feel where your temples are. That's where your ring fingers go now. Circle or press or even rub. And then the very last one underneath the earlobe. So right behind the earlobe, pressing. And it's not so much on the bone, it's really right underneath it. So again, these Marma points are different for everyone. So we just try to find that point that's a little bit maybe sensitive, but it feels like, ah, yeah, that's the right point. No, you're not pressing on a bone or a joint. And then you can press, you can circle, you can massage. You said that all the doshas are held in this point. Good. And then rub your hands again. Again, if you would have oil in your hands, you would rub the oil over your hands. And then massage your face in any way that feels nice. Massage your neck if you like. And then let the palms of the hands come down on the thighs for just a moment. And feel once again. Observe if there's any shift. And again, there doesn't have to be a shift. Maybe there is no noticeable shift, or maybe there is no shift. That's better. I was worried the light was gone. And we begin our restorative practice. So those were Marma points that help us soothe the nervous system and especially our mind. So for a first one, you'll need either one block or 2 blocks, maybe for some of us, and a big pillow. You can also use a book. You can use stacked blankets. You can use another little pillow. And this will come at an angle. And this really depends, again, on your body, if this needs to be higher or lower. And this is a restorative child's pose. So you'll get your big toes to touch. We won't stay here super long, as in most restorative poses. But if you feel it's a little bit sensitive for the instep of the feet, you can bring a blanket underneath the top of the feet, like so. Or if it's sensitive for the knees, you can bring a blanket all the way up to the creases of the knees and then sit back. Now then, once you're ready, you can come forward in a moment. Your whole upper body supported by the bolster, and then one cheek resting down. If it doesn't feel good for your neck, you can bring, I don't have an eye bag, but I don't know where they are. You can bring an eye bag on the top of the, so this doesn't work, obviously, but the block, but I'm just showing you with a block. So an eye bag here that you have space to breathe through the nose. So all of these poses will help us to move the attention, draw the attention inward slowly, little by little. And for this practice, just for now, we do observe the cravings instead of respond to them. There's no need to fix anything or change anything or adjust anything that we feel. I'll switch off my sound in a moment so that there's no distraction from my side. And you can really just be with what already is here. If your head is turned to one side, you can very gently turn it to the other side. And slowly, it's time to come out of this shape. First, by deepening the breathing, pressing the hands down, and gently rolling up away from the props. And then we can keep the same setup as you just stretch your legs out for a moment. You can have a look at the next asana. So you'll have the same setup with the big pillow and the block. But you'll take something that can be a blanket or it can be another pillow. It can also be a towel, you'll fold it and place it in between the lower legs. So there's some bedding in between the lower legs. Then you'll sit. So we're transitioning from a forward fold towards the back bend where we need a twist in order to balance. So we are sitting with the left hip really touching the big pillow. And then you'll frame the big pillow. So knees are pointing towards the right. Lengthen the spine on an inhale. And then on an exhale, you slowly, slowly come down. And for most of us, it's easiest to have the left cheek down. Some of us might be able to bring the right cheek down, but if it feels like any kind of strain or effort, then you just bring it over to the left. So it's a twist. And again, to repeat, you place something in between the lower legs, a blanket or a pillow, making sure it's as much bedding as you need. And then you sit with your left hip against the bolster, lengthen the spine on an inhale. So this is the important part. You're not going down with your left side waist. You're twisting, twisting, twisting. And then you come down and then rest the left cheek up. You take as much time as you need to come in to adjust any part of the shape so that you can feel comfortable and it's sustainable for you to stay here. And feel that everything that you experience in the mind and the body is like the ocean waves coming and going, sometimes bigger, longer waves, sometimes small ones. There's nothing that gets stuck, everything is just flowing. Begin to deepen your breathing. And you can also here slide the hands a little bit closer towards you, towards the line of the shoulders or the ribs, and then kind of roll yourself up as you're pressing down with the hands. Slowly lift yourself up. And just like we said this morning, so transitions are really important to keep Vata pacified. And as you transition to the next side, to the other side, you can keep the legs as they are, if that's possible, or adjust the blanket. Simply turn over to your right side, right hip touching the bolster. And then twisting, twisting, twisting on an inhale. And from there, on an exhale, melting forward as much as you can with your belly, your chest, and then the right side of the head down, or for some of us, the left side of the head down. If there is no sensation at all in the neck, if there is, right side of the head down. Again, just make your transition smooth, slow, steady, so that we keep the qualities that pacify Vata. Allow the breath to deepen so that you can slowly press yourself up away from the props, the earth. And then straighten out your legs for a moment. You can just lean back onto your hands. Allow the legs to unfold and relax. And you keep the same setup one more time. It might need to come higher. I'll show you in a moment when it needs to come higher or lower. Then if you have that blanket that was between your lower legs, you can open it and roll it up so that it's more like a little padding for underneath the knees. If you don't, you can put 2 pillows underneath, or again, towels. You don't have to put this there, but it's extra nice. And then you sit against, so first have a look before you go into it. Sit against the bolster with your sacrum. Then lean back with your hands. And now this is a little shift. You're now lifting the hips and then kind of dragging the tailbone forward and down before you come all the way down onto your back. Now, for me, this would be the right position. But if you feel like it's a very big back bend because it's too low, you just set up your block a little bit higher so that your bolster is higher, right? If your chin, I'll show you, if your chin is like this, then you can put a prop, little blanket or pillow, you can put it underneath your head. Now the legs, they just kind of naturally fall out to the sides. You can adjust your blanket if you need different kind of support. And then you rest here. If your elbows are floating off the ground, you can once again put something underneath there. Most important thing is that the lower back feels neutral and it doesn't feel like a massive arch. So you can do that by kind of sliding the tailbone more forward, away from the prop. We'll stay here for a little bit longer, so make sure that you are comfortable enough. There is no part of the body that's really kind of pulling your attention all the time towards it because it feels like it's unsupported or something like that. And if you have an eye bag, you can put it on your eyes or simply close the eyes. Allow the body to meld into the ground while the mind melds into the body. Bring your attention back to your body. And then to gently come out of this shape, you can bend your knees one by one. And from there, roll over to any side. Rest on your side in Shuddhayasana. And taking a moment here after what's called reclining pose. Basically, all restorative poses are versions, different versions of shavasana. And you can press down to slowly lift back up. And for this next one, just have a look first before you set up, because there's different options and it really depends on the props that you have. So you can, if you have 2 blocks or 2 big books or something like that, you can set up, or even more books, that would be great. Set your blocks up like this, so the medium height next to each other. And then you'll bring your big big pillow on top of it. This is called Stonehenge. So it's a Stonehenge, sorry. So this is kind of what it looks like. If you will feel it automatically, but if it feels nicer to have a higher setup, for me it always does, then you can do that. Whoops, and you can do that as well. The risk is that it falls. So you first want to make sure it's stable. This is a very heavy bolster as well. And then now, if you usually have a little bit of lower back sensitivity, what is probably helpful is bringing, okay, I'm going to do the lower setup. It's too heavy of a bolster. You can have a blanket underneath your lower back. So then you would put that here to have some support. If you don't need it, you can also use a blanket underneath your head or an extra pillow underneath your head. So the idea is, and this is why if you don't have this kind of prop, there is an alternative. The idea is that your knees come on top of the bolster. So for me, it's a little bit nicer if it's like this, but like this, it works as well. And then you come down. So it's a tiny, tiny inversion, but it has the effect of an inversion because we stay for a while. Now, if this is not available to you, what you can do is maybe there's a coffee table or a chair or a bed near you, and then you can put your blanket on top of it so that your legs can rest like that. And then, of course, you lay down in the same way. So if you have something that you can build, like here, like a Stonehenge, great. If not, also great. You put on the chair or the side of a bed or a coffee table, but making sure there's padding underneath the lower leg so it's not directly on like a hard surface. And it's okay if the feet drop a little bit down if you're in that Stonehenge position. So I'll show you again. So it's fine if the legs are like this. It's almost like a very high setup for Shavasana legs. And again, if it would be higher, it can work as well. If you feel the lower back, it's kind of hanging a little bit. Usually if there is a big arch in the lower back and you're in this pose, you feel like it's kind of heavy, then you can fold your blanket more so you have more padding underneath the lower back. And take as much time as you need, once again, to get comfortable. If your head feels like it's not completely in the right place, you can always put a blanket or a pillow underneath your head. And feel if your whole body can meld into this shape. I'll switch off my audio again, just for the birds. You can slowly place the feet onto the prop that your legs are resting on, your knees are resting on, so that the knees are gently bent. Bending one knee at a time. And then, just like coming out of shavasana, you roll over to one side. Let your head rest on your upper arm for a moment. Remembering that slow transitions help us to balance vata. Then press the top hand down and lift yourself up slowly, slowly. For our second to last pose, asana. So you can choose, this is called Shitalyasana, side-lying shavasana, and you can choose to practice it on your left or your right side. And I would not analyze it, I would just go with your first instinct. And then you'll feel if it's the right thing, and otherwise, in the beginning, you can turn to the other side. So have a look. There's some options. What I would definitely do is have something underneath the head, otherwise the head hangs down. So for me, that would be my blanket. And I would fold it, sorry, I don't know, it's an alarm somewhere. I would fold it so that the kind of space between my ear and the earth is filled. And then you can do two things. If you have a bolster, but no other blanket, you can choose to either have the bolster underneath whichever top leg you have, like this, and then let your top arm rest down. So this is a nice position for the legs. If you have an extra blanket, you can bend the knees, both knees, and place the blanket in between the lower legs, just like with that twist. And then what you can do with your big pillow or another blanket is to hold it. So you can bring a block underneath even, to have your arm underneath it. So I'm having, in this case, my left arm underneath, bolster on top, and then I'm just resting the right arm, so you probably can't see me anymore, resting the right arm on top. So you can choose whichever position you prefer, left or right side, bolster underneath the top leg, with one leg a little bit more straight, and or bolster kind of like a teddy bear, holding it close to your body and resting the top arm on it. So for restorative poses, it's always important to check, is there any part of my body that's hanging, that's not supported by a prop or the earth? And can you adjust, or can you add another layer of a prop to feel like that part of your body is supported? And softly closing the eyes. And if there is a big challenge with these longer held restorative postures, see if you can allow the waves of your thoughts, the waves of your emotions, the waves of your sensations to really take you with them. So we're entering an even deeper layer of allowing. We're just kind of, as if we're a boat, we're on the waves, we're not inside of them, but we're floating on top of those waves. We're not going underwater with them. We are moved and rocked by those waves. There's nothing that we need to do actively. The waves come and go. Allow your attention to move back into the body if it's somewhere else. And then feel, and again, listen to really that first spark of intuition. What will be the most nourishing way to finish this practice? Would it be to stay here for a little while longer, to roll over to the other side and practice the same side lying shavasana on the other side, or roll onto your back using any props underneath the knees, underneath the head for classical shavasana on your back? So you can tune into what would be most nourishing for you to finish this practice with. And take all the time you need to transition if you're transitioning out of this side. Allow once again the attention to travel back to the body, to the breath. Observe what is present right now without the need to fix, change, or analyze. And if you're on your side, you can gently roll over to the other side to come out. If you're on your back, you can first bring your knees into your chest and then roll to your side. And from whichever side you're on, slowly come up into any seated position to close your practice. Bring the palms of the hands together and rub them together. Trusting that the practice has done what it needed to do. And place the hands over the eyes, exactly like we did this morning when we started. Rest your eyes behind your hands. And then slide the eyebrows away from the center and then down like a waterfall, down your head, down your neck, down your arms, down your chest, your belly, your back, your buttock, your legs if you can reach. And hold onto your feet with your hands. Press into the center of your feet, wherever you feel that the center of your feet is. And bring the palms of the hands once again to touch at the heart. May others always benefit from our practice. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace in all realms. Thank you. Good. Thank you for staying with it. Staying with it in this practice, this day, this year. That's what you were doing. Yeah, thank you so much. I hope some of it is useful in your life. Oh, very loud bells. And if there is anything that I can help you with, please let me know. We ended half an hour earlier because we started half an hour earlier with our restorative practice because I had scheduled extra half hour for questions. I guess sometimes there are long answers or long questions. So you get an extra half hour to maybe go back because maybe you told your family I'm not there until 6. So feel free to go back into your restorative. But thank you so much. Yeah, let me know anything that you need. I will send you, of course, the recording. Hopefully tomorrow, but sometimes it takes a little bit longer for my internet to upload everything. So I'll get it to you as fast as possible. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wish you beautiful fall and countries as well, Hannah.
Thank you. I'll be in touch for sure. Thanks so much.
Great. Great. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.